Welcome to the Happy Black Woman Podcast, where we're on a mission to empower women to transform their lives through personal development and entrepreneurship. We bring you all the information, inspiration, and motivation you need to create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Now, please welcome your host, the happy Black woman herself, Rosetta Thurman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Happy Black Woman Podcast. This is your host, Rosetta, and I am back with another incredible interview for today. My guest is Loria Smith, and she is the founder of ReDefining H.E.R. I always love to share with people how I come to know my guest, and Loria has been a client of mine in the Happy Black Woman Mastermind, and I've gotten to know her and her brand a lot over these past months. So I want to introduce you to Loria and welcome her to the show. Welcome, Loria.
Thank you, Rosetta. Hello.
I'm so glad that you're on the show, and I know that everyone listening has not had the chance to get to know you the way I have. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I'm the founder of ReDefining H.E.R. And H.E.R. is an acronym for Healing, Enrichment, and Resiliency, which I consider myself to be in a state of healing, continuously enriching myself, and just being a resilient woman. So I founded ReDefining H.E.R. to help other women who have probably faced some of the same challenges that I faced, that have been through some of the hardships, and are just looking for a way up and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love your mission. And I know that there are so many women listening who may be in that stage of their lives right now. Can you go a little bit deeper as to what is your story? What's your story, and how did you even get to where you are now to be helping other women in this area?
Well, for one, I've been working with women that are in my circle professionally and personally to just help them and allow them to get through relationship issues that they have experienced with loss, and maybe just kind of growing their brand or their territory, making decisions on jobs that they might want to go out for. And when it comes back to me, I've experienced some of all of that. First of all, I believe that you are aware that I'm a survivor of DV, domestic violence. And it seems funny that we're having this interview this month because it is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, November is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so I've also in the past founded an organization that raises awareness against domestic violence. So that's a baby of mine. But going forward, as a survivor, the challenges that I went through, going through the relationship, the violence, and ultimately getting out goes deep. And so I don't really share it with many people. Not everyone knows it about me, knows that I've had that experience, but it's something that it's probably time for me to share, because if I don't, then who's going to listen to what I have to say? If they don't believe that I've been through what they've been through, they have to have something, or understand that I have a level of understanding of what they've experienced or what they may be going through.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not easy for any of us to share our story, but whenever a woman has a mission like you have for redefining H.E.R., it typically comes from a place of personal experience. So can you just share with us in a nutshell of what your experience was, that led you to say, you know what, I don't want any other woman to deal with this?
From the outside looking in, everything looked good. Perception is everything, of course, but on the inside, things were just not what an ideal, healthy relationship should be. I found myself involved in this particular relationship for about 3 years, and it ultimately ended up with me nearly giving up my liberty. The situation was such that I had a small child at the time, and there were some concerns that I had there, some things that I had witnessed that kind of made me, or helped me to make the decision to leave the relationship. And so as I made my path to start taking steps to get out of that relationship, it just escalated, point that I had to go without the completion of my planning process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the story I tell is that one morning when I opened my eyes, there was something that I think it was just that one morning when my daughter had come into the bedroom and she was probably hungry. I was probably sleeping in. It was a weekend. And my partner at that time, as I opened my eyes, I saw him take the wand of his finger and just from left to right to signal her to leave the room without waking me, without considering what she might need or want. And for me, as a woman, as a mother, it was heart wrenching because I did not know how many times that had happened. And so I made the decision then that I had to get out. I mean, I had taken some things that, that a lot of people might not have accepted, but then, I didn't see it as bad because I did not really understand DV at that time, the power and control that it brings about. And so I just took things. There came a time when the situation got out of hand. I think it was just one night with me being my regular self, and some things transpired that were probably usual, but then it escalated to gunfire. I found myself having to change the course of my life because I could have lost my life. Mm-hmm. It could have went either way. So that in itself has made me very aware of women who are in unhealthy relationships. I can spot it a mile away in their demeanor, conversation, in the actions that the partner may be displaying. All of those things are telltale signs, and even the children, so innocently, they will acknowledge or speak about things that they've seen. And it's a form of acknowledgement that they really aren't aware of. They don't really know it's abuse, where we from, it's okay for, in some of these communities, for a woman to be slapped in her face or to be stalked and harassed by a boyfriend. Some people think that that's attractive, or he loves me, or he really cares for me, or nobody else is gonna feel for me that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What an incredible story of going through this experience that I can only imagine what it must have been like, not just for you as a woman, but as a mother, to have to figure out what to do in that situation. And I know a lot of women do not end up getting out of situations. So such a huge accomplishment for you to do that for yourself, for your daughter, and now giving back to other women. I mean, there's so many people out there who are struggling from all kinds of abuse. And
Yes.
to have someone be so willing to share her story and be a resource and a coach throughout this process is really, really powerful. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Rosetta. Thank you for allowing me this platform to share. I think it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about how you help women now. So I know that you have founded this organization, Redefining H.E.R. What are some of the ways that you help women through their transitions, whether it's an abusive relationship or a job or whatever it is that's making them unhappy and they have to get out of it? How do you do that? Is it through coaching? Is it through events? How does that work?
Right now, I am working with women with the coaching process of assessing and kind of analyzing and coming up with some power plays on how they can move forward. And I do offer a 30-minute, a 60-minute, and a 90-minute intensive. Mm-hmm. And I also have a 90-day program for women who want to go in a little bit deeper and have an accountability partner here for them in that way as well.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine the emotions that come up throughout this process, from not just being in it, but the decision that, hey, I'm going to do something to change my life. And I want to find someone who understands what I'm going through. I mean, I could just imagine what that is like, but you have decided to dedicate your business to do this with other women, which I think is so powerful. For the ladies listening who are thinking, man, I'm going through something right now, or I was in one of those situations as well, and I need to figure out how to redefine me. What are some ways that they could get started with the process? I know that you help women one-on-one, but for the women listening, what tips would you give them for getting started with redefining who they are?
Well, you know what? First, I want to just be clear about who it is that I'm serving. For a woman who is in a situation that is one of violence, that she's in a domestic situation where she's being abused physically, I really want that woman to reach out to the National Coalition of Domestic Violence. She can find their number online. I don't have it on hand right now, but I work with women who are removed from the situation and just have not found their way and continued a path in excelling, and living the life that they desire. So with the women and these are professional women that have left that partner behind and they're looking forward, what I do with them is I go through actually 7 steps, but I'll go into just 3 of them. The first step is that we work through a process of raising their self-awareness. Okay. And so what that is really just the foundation of how we understand ourselves better. It brings about peace to us as individuals, and our thoughts, our emotions, our actions are all tied to that, all tied to a certain level of self-awareness.
Yeah. So for the woman listening, what can she do to start to get a sense of self-awareness? Like she's out of the situation, or she is at a point in her stage of transition, whatever it is, where she's like, okay, I need to make some changes. How can she start to get that awareness?
Well, you know what? I can offer a woman my 5 steps to healing, and that is going to probably be mentioned at the end of our conversation, but it's a free download that I have. And what it does is it walks you through a process of 5 steps that will help you towards healing from past hurts. And that entails engaging in your spirituality, talking about it with someone you trust, being able to let go, getting reacquainted with yourself, being passionate about something, and beginning to live the life that you desire. So the first step would just kind of go into merely just praying or meditation, whatever your form of alliance is to your higher power, to get through this healing process. You really want to eradicate all negative thoughts, create a peace of mind in your body and spirit. Enlightenment, prayer, meditation really kind of motivates you to move forward in what you're doing. The next step that I talked about was just talking about it. And you really want to enlist people that you trust, people that lift you up. They're not judgmental. They allow you to be yourself around them. And I would avoid anybody that depletes or diminishes you in any way. So you definitely want to get someone you trust, connect with them, share with them what you're comfortable sharing, and then follow up with just kind of letting it go. And that has to do with forgiveness. So if you get into a situation that it's difficult to forgive, then you're going to have a problem recovering and healing. I like to just summarize 5 of them, golden rules of forgiveness. The first one is that you can learn to forgive yourself. You're more than halfway there. Okay. When you forgive and let go, you change, and the world changes, or the world is different to you. You start to see things differently. You can only forgive when you are ready to do so. And until then, it won't work. Okay.
Like you can't force forgiveness.
No, you have to be ready to let it go. Another is it's never too late to forgive. You can only change you. So your forgiveness is vital to that. You change you, and you can't be concerned with whomever or whatever the wronging was. You just have to be able to let it go for yourself, for your own well-being. Yeah. And so, being passionate about something, again, I'm passionate about DV. I'm also passionate about women's health. The thing with getting passionate is that believe in something, do something that brings value to others. Don't just be self-serving, be a community server. Get involved with organizations that will allow you to volunteer and give back. And it's going to probably deflect the attention that you have on yourself.
I was going to ask you about that, because I was wondering for you, I mean, obviously you're teaching women the strategies that you use, but for you, what benefit did it have on you, or what effect did it have on you when you stopped focusing on the bad things that had happened to you, and then you started saying, well, how could I help other women? What was the effect on you to make that shift?
The effect on me was probably when I became self-aware. When I became more self-aware about who I am as a woman, the power that I have within me and the value that I bring to any relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic, the value that I bring to my friends and my family, to my organization, I started to think more positively about myself. And so that in itself is a win, because so often we go through this, as you call it, lizard brain, and Seth Godin, I think, is the founder of that. But the lizard brain shows up, that fear engulfs you and you are paralyzed. So for me, becoming more self-aware helped me to start building better relationships. It helped me to understand how and where my boundaries should be set. And moving forward, it just really helped me to have a better sense of self and improved self-image. So I would recommend that any woman, once she could get past the hurt, to kind of work on herself, understand what she brings to the table, understand her value. And that goes along with conquering fear. You want to lead by example, staying true to thyself. That is my number one thing, is be true to thyself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just following through with your heart, whatever your heart desire is. And if, people see you doing something, they will believe it. We limit ourselves. So,
yeah, I love it. I mean, so much can happen as a result of being self-aware. Mm-hmm. What other tips do you have for the women listening who they're hearing about redefining her and they're like, I need to redefine me? What else would you offer to them?
I would say that we have to first start with our daily routines. We have to wake up refreshed. We have to make sure that we are hydrating and we're doing everything that we need for our own self-care, physically and emotionally, mentally. All of these things start with us rising in the morning. So if we're not whole, then we can't, the day's not going to be productive. Things aren't going to flow. For me, I have a routine where I do anatomy stretching in the mornings, or I may take a 20-minute walk. Sometimes if I'm feeling really good, I may go longer. The process that I take in maybe sipping on tea or drinking a cup of coffee. There are days that I journal. I wish I was more consistent with it, because it really does bring about a lot of thought and open up things for me. But that's something that I really, really think is important for women to do, is to be able to journal and reflect on their days. The other thing is, in relationships, we really want to make sure that we are building trust. The number one thing. Secondly, we want to make sure that we are having mutual respect in our relationships from both parties. And lastly, communication. Communication is key, to having an understanding and just being mindful of the other person's thoughts and desires.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, so many opportunities you shared already to have women start to have that redefining process. I know that there are a lot of life stages that women go through where they start to realize that, okay, something has to change, whether it's going through a traumatic experience or losing a job or all the things that happen in a woman's life. And what you shared are, some of the things that you've done that are simple, but if we implement them, then they can help us go to the next step, which is really important.
So I'll go over those 7 things as well, just because I know I went in with the 3, which were the raising the self-awareness, the examining the relationships is one that I did not mention. I'm sorry about that. And then the setting boundaries. That was the one that was missing. So yeah, I would just say that those 3 are top and foremost. You want to, raise your own self-awareness, know who you are, know what matters to you, what likes or dislikes you have, what makes you uncomfortable. And then you're able to put forth a genuine a more real you. You show up the way that you really are, and people connect with you better. So those 3, and then going on is just determining what's holding you back. So the women that I work with, we go through a process that kind of, we ask the right questions and get provoking answers that are going to be revealing in what it is that has been a hindrance for them. Addressing limiting beliefs is an issue, because so many of us are so afraid that we are not enough, that we can't do this, we don't have the skill, we don't have the time, we don't have whatever excuse we can come up with, we do. And if you don't have a strong support system, you are going to be limited. If you have limiting beliefs, you're never going to achieve your goals unless you have a support system that you can use to propel yourself. If you have women around you that support you and your mission, if you have family that cares about what you're doing. And you know what? I want to just go one step further and say, don't really depend on anyone. Depend on you, believe in you, but you can't do everything alone. You have to have a support system, and then nurturing and developing your strengths. So when you come up and say that you can't do this, that, or the other because you don't have the skill or the know-how or the time, that's fear. And what you need to learn from fear is that all it is a sign that you need to take action. I've learned to do it afraid. Mm-hmm. And you take action by nurturing whatever it is that your biggest fear is. So if your fear is that you don't have the skills or the know-how to do something, then you need to find out how to get those skills. Mm-hmm. Right. So in taking action and setting the goals that you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Those steps are really important, especially for women who are going through a transition. It can be really hard to get focused with all the emotions that are going on, but you've given us definitely something to think about. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
So I am curious to know, like, in your journey, what is a book that you've read that has inspired you that you can share with our listeners?
You know what? This is probably an older book, but it is How to Succeed at Being Yourself, and it's by Joyce Myers. You've probably heard of that one, but it really helped me.
I've heard a lot of Joyce Meyer books on this show, but I actually don't think we've heard that one. So no, we are going to put the link in the show notes though, so people can share it. Maybe because it's an older book. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was one of her earlier books?
It was. Mm-hmm. It was.
Sometimes it's those older books. I have books from the 80s about different theories, and I'm like, yeah, a lot of books are just repeating the same thing that they said back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. They just recycle it, but it's always good information. And this one was, I believe it was copywritten in 1999, How to Succeed at Being Yourself, Finding the Confidence to Fulfill Your Destiny.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Because so many women struggle with confidence, and it's like there's society, there's how we grew up, and then there's personal experiences that have happened that really can destroy our confidence. And so I love that recommendation because it sounds like a book that'll help someone build up her confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Well, I am also curious to know, in this journey of you turning your life experiences and your passion and your desire to help other women, you've gone through your own process just on the business side of, mm-hmm. How do I do this and all of that. So I'd love to get your insight for the women listening, and they may have gone through, maybe not something exactly that you've gone through, but they've gone through a situation. Like I hear women say all the time that I want to help other women who've been through what I've been through. And they're so passionate about it, but fear, you talked about fear earlier, fear is what stops them. So what mm-hmm. advice or insight would you give to the woman who says, I want to help other women not have to go through what I went through, or I want to help women who have gone through what I went through and let them know there's hope after that experience, but I'm scared to really put myself out there. I'm scared to turn this into a business. I'm afraid. What advice would you give to her, knowing what you know now?
Well, I would say, first of all, do it afraid. You must have a support system. You must have people around you that support your vision, your mission, and that understand what it is that you are doing or trying to do. You must be confident in your story and what it is that you can do for others. And you have to show up. That's something that I've had to learn, that you have to be consistent about whatever it is you're passionate about, and you must show up for yourself.
Yeah. Such a big one that a lot of women don't understand is that You said that you need to have a support system and people around you, which I fully agree with. But there's women listening and they're like, well, I don't have anybody, to support me.
Well, you know what? One thing that I did not say is that you have to be willing to invest in yourself. You really do. That is king. If you don't have the resources and you don't have a support system, then you need to get a coach. You need to get someone that understands where you've been or where you're going, someone who can guide you in setting up your business and who can mentor you through it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that's what I was getting at in saying, okay, if you don't have anyone, then you don't need to just say, okay, I can't do it because I don't have anyone. There are ways to find people. And I have often found that people who don't know me, like coaches and mentors that I've paid money to, like because they don't know me, they actually can give better support because they don't know the old Rosetta, like a lot of people are family, they know the old you and they're like, well, do you really think you can do that? Remember when you were 12 and you quit the cheerleading squad? And, they just have all these judgments. Whereas sometimes getting people who don't know you can be even better. Accountability partners that you might meet at an event, a conference, coaches that you find that you resonate with. I love that you shared that idea because now for the women listening, they're like, okay, if I don't have anyone, I can go find someone.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah. So I wanted to add a couple other things. I think I had crossed over once before just saying to follow your heart. When others see what you're doing, they'll believe it. And the next thing is to avoid negative naysayers. You know how they operate. People are not motivated by your motives. They don't support your goals if they are not doing anything themselves. So you really want to avoid those types of people. Ignore what others say about you or think about you. It's not really your business. Really, it's none of your business what people think and say about you. I've had to learn that the hard way. Lead by example. Can't say that enough. You are a perfect example of showing up for your community, Rosetta, and leading by example. So I commend and appreciate you for it.
Well, it's the hard work, right? It's like, it's the hardest work. I always forget the quotes when I need them, but the hardest work that I think we are called to do as women, and especially as Black women, is to be ourselves. Unapologetically, like just for you, Loria, to stand in your power with your story and your experience and your background and say, here I am. This is who I am. This is what I've gone through, but this is what I am doing. And this is what I'm going to do. And this is going to be my purpose and my legacy on this earth. That takes strength to be able to do that. And so many women are walking around in someone else's plan and someone else's dream and someone else's fantasy, and they have not allowed themselves to be themselves. And so I think it's the greatest thing that we can do to do that for ourselves and then also model it for other women. Like if you, for the women listening, they're like, I don't know if I could do this. That's why you need to do it. So you can prove that you can, and also inspire the women and the girls that are watching, our daughters and the girls that are coming after us and women that are coming up after us. We have the opportunity, and I do think it's an opportunity to influence them positively.
Absolutely. I agree. One other thing comes to mind that I did not mention, and I just want to say that we need to manage our stress. Yeah, stress is something that just causes so many problems. And it's, a repercussion also of the fear that we have when we're trying to move forward. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Whatever your regimen is, find one.
Yeah.
It helps you to manage stress.
Really important. Really important. All right, lady. Well, I know that there'll be so many women who want to stay in touch with you after today's inspiring conversation. So how can they get in touch with you and learn more from you?
Okay. Well, they can contact me on my website at ReDefining That's ReDefining her.com. Or they can find me on Facebook at Loria Yvonne. And when I have the 5 steps toward healing from past hurts on my website. So I would like for them to go and take a look at that, download it, and work through it. It's just about 4 pages they can work through, answer the questions, use it as a little bit of a journal, and just kind of work through that healing process. reach out to me if they'd like to.
Great. Well, I know that we're going to go ahead and just put those links into the show notes on the blog. So you guys can go and check out Loria's website at redefiningher.com. Sign up for her free resource to help you in your healing, whatever that is for you. It helps to have support. It helps to have resources, and it helps to have coaches and mentors along the way. So thank you, Loria, for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Rosetta.
Awesome. All right, ladies. Well, there you have it. Another awesome conversation. I am so privileged and so blessed to be surrounded by incredible women. No matter what's going on in the world, I know I can always look around me and be inspired by all the Black girl magic that is in this universe. So if you have not had a chance to listen to all the other interviews that I've done over the past 2 years, you can go to my website at happyblackwoman.com, click on the podcast tab, and binge listen to your heart's content, all for free. And again, thank you everyone for sharing the podcast with your friends and family. We have had over 500,000 downloads over the past 2 years. We're celebrating our 2-year podcast anniversary right now. So thank you for all of your support. It means a lot. Until next time, have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Happy Black Woman podcast. If you want all the show's notes from today's episode, go to happyblackwomanpodcast.com. Plus, we'll send you a copy of Rosetta's free life mapping workbook. We look forward to empowering you next time. And until then, do something this week that makes you happy.